You die in a car crash at 3:47 p.m. on Tuesday, but somewhere else, in another version of reality, you swerve just in time and live. What if death isn't an ending, but simply your consciousness sliding into the timeline where you survived? What I'm about to show you will change how you think about mortality forever. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that every quantum event splits reality into multiple parallel universes. In 1957, physicist Hugh Everett III theorized that all possible outcomes of quantum measurements occur simultaneously in separate branches of reality. This means that for every moment you could die, there exists a parallel universe where you survive. Quantum immortality takes this concept further, suggesting that your consciousness can only exist in timelines where you remain alive. Since you cannot experience being dead, your awareness automatically transfers to the nearest parallel reality where that death event never occurred, creating the illusion of miraculous survival. Every year, millions of people report near-death experiences that share remarkably similar characteristics. They describe leaving their bodies, traveling through tunnels of light, and experiencing profound peace before returning to life. Traditional science struggles to explain these consistent accounts, but quantum consciousness theory offers a startling explanation. These experiences might represent brief moments when consciousness detaches from one dying timeline and searches for a viable parallel reality. The tunnel of light could be the quantum bridge between universes, and the life review process might be consciousness scanning for the most compatible timeline to transfer into permanently. If we constantly jump between parallel universes to avoid death, why don't we remember dying? The answer lies in quantum decoherence. When consciousness transfers between realities, the quantum information from the previous timeline becomes entangled with the new reality's quantum field, effectively erasing memories that don't align with the new timeline's history. This explains the Mandela effect, collective false memories of events that supposedly never happened. These might be residual quantum echoes from parallel timelines where those events actually occurred. Our consciousness retains fragments of memories from realities we've abandoned to escape death. Medical literature is filled with inexplicable survival stories that defy statistical probability. Patients who survive terminal diagnoses with 0% survival rates, accident victims who walk away from crashes that should have been fatal, and people who recover from injuries that medical science says are incompatible with life. These anomalies might not be miracles or luck, but evidence of consciousness selecting timelines with favorable outcomes. Each impossible survival could represent a quantum jump to a parallel reality where the fatal event was slightly different, allowing for miraculous recovery instead of certain death. Déjà vu affects 97% of the population, yet neuroscience cannot fully explain why we sometimes feel we've experienced identical moments before. The sensation is often accompanied by an eerie feeling that we know what will happen next, suggesting these aren't false memories but genuine recollections. Quantum consciousness theory proposes that déjà vu occurs when memories from parallel timelines leak into our current reality. These brief glimpses might be quantum echoes from timelines we've previously inhabited, moments when the barriers between parallel realities temporarily thin and allow cross-dimensional memory transfer. Recent research in quantum biology reveals that consciousness might operate as a quantum information processor, capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously. The human brain contains microtubules that function as quantum computers, processing information at subatomic levels beyond classical physics limitations. These quantum processes could enable consciousness to scan infinite parallel realities instantaneously, identifying timelines with optimal survival outcomes. When death approaches in one timeline, quantum consciousness automatically relocates to the nearest viable alternative, ensuring subjective immortality while maintaining the illusion of continuous existence in a single reality. Quantum entanglement suggests that parallel versions of yourself remain connected across multiple timelines through non-local quantum correlations. When you make decisions, you're unconsciously influenced by the collective experiences of infinite parallel selves who have faced similar choices in their respective realities. This explains intuition, gut feelings, and sudden insights that seem to come from nowhere. Your quantum consciousness is constantly receiving subtle information from parallel selves, creating a multi-dimensional feedback loop that guides you toward timelines with better survival prospects and away from realities where you've already died. In 2019, researchers at the Institute for Advanced Studies conducted quantum consciousness experiments using isolated photons in superposition states. They discovered that observation itself appears to collapse quantum states in ways that suggest consciousness operates outside classical space-time constraints. potentially existing across multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiments demonstrate that consciousness can retroactively influence past events by changing present observations. This implies that your current awareness might be constantly editing your timeline, ensuring that past events align with your continued survival in the present moment. Many people experience inexplicable phobias, anxiety attacks, or emotional reactions to specific scenarios without any traumatic memories to explain these responses. Traditional psychology attributes these to subconscious memories or genetic predispositions, but quantum consciousness theory offers a more extraordinary explanation. These intense emotional reactions might be quantum imprints from parallel timelines where you died in circumstances similar to your current triggers. Your consciousness carries forward emotional residue from those death experiences, creating seemingly irrational fears that are actually rational responses to genuine dangers you've faced in other realities. The fundamental principle of quantum immortality states that consciousness cannot observe its own non-existence. Since death represents the cessation of observation, your awareness can only exist in timelines where you remain alive to maintain that awareness. This creates a selection effect where you subjectively experience only realities compatible with consciousness. From your perspective, you will live forever because you cannot experience any timeline where you don't exist. Everyone else appears to age and die because you're observing their timelines from your immortal perspective, but they're simultaneously experiencing their own subjective immortality in their parallel realities. If consciousness truly transfers between parallel realities to avoid death, this discovery could fundamentally transform how humanity approaches mortality, medical treatment, and life decisions. We might develop technologies to consciously navigate between timelines, selecting realities with optimal outcomes rather than passively experiencing random quantum jumps. Advanced civilizations might already possess such technology, explaining UFO sightings as interdimensional travelers moving between parallel Earths. The implications extend beyond individual immortality to species survival, suggesting that consciousness itself might be the universe's mechanism for ensuring the continuation of intelligent observation across infinite realities. While individual consciousness can jump between parallel realities, shared experiences create quantum anchor points that stabilize certain timelines. When multiple conscious observers witness the same event, their collective observation strengthens that reality's quantum structure, making it more resistant to timeline shifts and creating shared historical narratives. This explains why major historical events seem consistent across different observers. Collective consciousness creates quantum consensus reality. The more people who share a memory or experience, the more stable that timeline becomes. This suggests that human civilization itself might be a collaborative effort to maintain a stable quantum reality through shared observation and memory. Every close call, every narrow escape, every moment you almost died but didn't. Perhaps you actually did die and simply woke up in the closest timeline where you survived. If this theory is correct, you're not just living one life but experiencing infinite lives across infinite realities, forever dancing between death and consciousness.